Welcome to Check This Out, podcast for kids
and their grown-ups, where we explore interesting people, places, and ponderings that shape the world around us. My name is Amy Contreras.
And I'm Cece.
Today's episode is another mini episode on founding father and fourth president of the United States, James Madison. While James Madison had an interesting life with many contributions to the United States before, during, and after the Revolutionary War, we are focusing on his time as president today in honor of the upcoming President's Day holiday.
That makes a lot of sense.
Before we talk about James Madison as a president of the United States, do you remember what a founding father is? Because James Madison is one of the people who we often refer to as a founding father. Is a founding father A, someone who finds missing fathers that get lost, B, an inventor, or C, a political leader who helped create the United States of America?
If you pick C, that was a super duper good choice.
Founding fathers are the group of men who helped create the United States, like George Washington, Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, John Jay, and Alexander Hamilton. That isn't all the founding fathers, but it helps give you an idea. I suppose to help you fully understand his presidential legacy, it might be helpful to learn a little more about James Madison and what he did before he became the fourth president of the United States.
Let's recap some of his achievements.
And facts about his life. James Madison was born in 1751 and he lived until 1836. He attended the College of New Jersey, which is now known as Princeton. James Madison was an enslaver, similar to George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. He held contradictory views on slavery, arguing that slavery was incompatible with revolutionary principles, but he also did own over 100 slaves on his Virginia plantation. He was elected to Virginia's 1776 Revolutionary Convention, where he drafted the state's guarantee of religious freedom. He helped write the Federalist Papers, alongside Alexander Hamilton and John Jay, which supported the ratification of the Constitution. He sponsored the Bill of Rights at the Constitutional Convention.
Oh, that's important.
James Madison was nicknamed the Father of the Constitution for his role in drafting and promoting the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights. He was Secretary of State to Thomas Jefferson when he was president, and he served on his cabinet.
He was a busy guy.
He sure was. Before his presidency, James Madison is probably most remembered for his role in the Constitutional Convention of 1787. Here, he presented something called the Virginia Plan to the delegates.
Check this out.
James Madison oversaw the process of negotiation and compromise that led to the final Constitution. This was not an easy job. He took extensive notes on the Constitutional Convention. James Madison's notes on the Constitutional Convention are considered the most detailed and accurate description of what happened. Keep in mind, these notes weren't published at his request until all the participants had died.
Wow!
Now that we have a little context about James Madison as a founding father and his time before becoming president, let's get into it.
Here's a fun fact.
If our first president, George Washington, towered over people at 6 feet and 2 inches, James Madison as a president was the opposite. He was only 5'4". He was elected president in 1808 and he served 2 terms, retiring from the presidency in 1817. James Madison was from Virginia and he was a key leader in the Democratic-Republican Party alongside Thomas Jefferson.
I remember him.
I'm glad. Thomas Jefferson was the 3rd president of the United States, so James Madison came right after him. Both before and during his presidency, James Madison was a strong supporter of the separation of powers within the government. He believed in a strong system of checks and balances in government, which are a key part of the Constitution's design.
I want to check out more about that.
You should. During his presidency, a few key things happened, the most notable one being the War of 1812.
Check this out.
Have you heard about the War of 1812? The War of 1812 happened in, you guessed it, 1812. This war is sometimes called America's Second War of Independence because it was also against Great Britain. The War of 1812 was a part of a larger global battle. England and France had been in almost constant war for global control from 1789 to 1815. The United States had a variety of problems with Great Britain. Many felt that the British weren't treating the new United States as a real country. They felt that Britain was treating them unfairly by capturing American soldiers and not allowing them to trade freely. Britain was also supporting Native American tribes that were fighting against American settlers, trying to create problems in the new nation. James Madison, as president, led the United States during the War of 1812 against Great Britain, which was a significant conflict in U.S. history, and the first war the U.S. participated in after the Revolutionary War. Under his leadership, the U.S. was able to hold off a British invasion.
Oh, that's important.
Outside the War of 1812, which dominated his presidency, Madison had some other big actions. While he was president, Madison occupied West Florida in 1810 as part of the Louisiana Purchase that had happened under Thomas Jefferson. Spain had refused to give up control of that part of Florida after the Louisiana Purchase, so he officially claimed it for the United States. Madison also supported Jefferson's decision to fight a naval war against pirates. Louisiana and Indiana became states during Madison's presidency. On March 31, 1814, Napoleon's European empire collapsed. There were also a number of battles across the country with various indigenous tribes over the course of his presidency.
He was a busy guy.
He was. He also served 2 terms as president. But then he did retire to his home in Virginia after serving his 2 terms. We could keep telling you about James Madison, the father of the Constitution, and his accomplishments, but we promised you a mini episode. So with that, we say,
thanks for listening. See you next episode. Don't forget to subscribe.